Hi, John. It's Pete, and I'm overdue on my promised interview, but I don't have a script in front of me, so I don't know what the words are. I'm normally a scripted fellow, you know.
The following program is rated U for universal audiences and is considered suitable for listeners of all ages.
This is a presentation of Dream Realm Enterprises, where dreams are our reality.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Magical Worlds podcast. I'm your host, John Russell, and thank you for joining us. Very, very glad to have everybody with us as we continue to talk about the production of Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem Book 2 currently. So I've been working on mastering some lines for Book 2. As we're still working on the post-production. We'll be working on post-production for a few months yet on this series, as it's going to be running for a while. We will be finally, in about 6 days, premiering episode 1 for you. So the series will launch. Book 2 will launch, and it will be very exciting. We are so excited and looking forward to getting the show out there finally after talking about it for what seems like forever. It's been in production for over a year, and it's been a long and arduous, eventful, fascinating journey getting this new season together. The plan had been to get it out sometime early this year, but you know, all the great laid plans of mice and men and all that, things just never quite work out as you plan them, naturally, but you know, that's life. But despite delays and problems that we have had along the way, it's mostly behind the scenes and technical, nothing necessarily to do with story. I mean, there have been a few delays because I have added things to scripts and tried to fill in gaps that I felt that I had left the first time around writing it. But you know, that's a whole process of creation, is you write the script, and then, you know, as you go on producing it, sometimes you discover you need a little bit more just to make things make sense, or to pace things out better, or, you know, there's missing information that you can cover in a new scene, or you can add, you know, dialogue to scenes just to make it work. Sometimes we have to take away if a scene is running too long and isn't pacing out right. Sometimes we have to change a scene altogether. So there, you know, there are all these kinds of things that can hold up a production because you want to get it right. So we've worked very hard to try and get it right for you guys, because we want you guys to really enjoy it. And it's not perfect by any means. It's not going to. It's all a learning curve. So, you know, these things take some effort, and sometimes, you know, no matter how much effort you put into it, it's still not perfect. And as a creator anyway, as a perfectionist, I am never 100% happy with what I put out. I'm always critical of my own work, very critical. I'm my own worst critic, as a matter of fact. But that really kind of comes with the territory. You know, we as creators do tend to over-criticize our own work. It's just the way it happens. And yeah, like I said, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I'm never 100% happy. But I've also learned over the years, being in this business, that you kind of have to just throw your hands up sometimes and go, okay, it works. The story is being told. The audience should understand what's going on. If it's not perfect, hopefully they'll understand, and you have to move on. You know, at some point you have to move on, because I could spend, you know, months and months and months on one thing. And I actually, for the first But the first few episodes, what's going to end up as being the first few episodes, I have, worked on that so long. I've gone back to it and added things and taken things away and, re-recorded things and added scenes. And, I worked on it for so long trying to get the beginning right. That's always my biggest issue. Beginnings and endings are the hardest. The middle stuff, that's all the, that's the cake. But the icing and all that is the beginning and end. That's just how I see it. So it's a little bit more difficult, and you want things to look really presentable at the beginning, or sound in this instance. You want the absolute first chapter to just knock them off their feet. And sometimes it's just hard because you've got to introduce characters and settings and the story that you're telling, and sometimes it's not easy to have such a dynamic beginning. The meat and potatoes of any story is, all that stuff in the middle, in between the start and the finish. And with a story like this, it's really a big journey. It's a long journey. So that part to me is the interesting bit. Getting started, we have to explain it in such a way that it's entertaining. We have to start so that it captures people's imagination right away and they get into the story. So we have to do that right. So it's been difficult to do that, and it's always, for me, tough. Starting a big story arc like this in particular, it's always tough to get that beginning just right so that it really grabs people right away, because me as a writer, I'm always just anxious to get into the actual story, to get into the meat and potatoes and really enjoy the journey. And as a storyteller, I enjoy that, and as a viewer and listener, as an audience member, I love stories about journeys, about going places, about having some place to go. And it's not about getting there. It's always the most interesting part is the getting there, because all these crazy, wonderful things happen along the journey. And in this story, it's absolutely no different. That's just how it works. Is the things that these characters get into as they're trying to get to where they're trying to get to, those are the interesting things. And there's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes on, and there's character stuff that goes on, and you get to develop your characters. That's what I love about doing a series like this, is we get to develop the characters. And with Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem in particular, we have these characters that aren't fully developed, and I get a chance to do that over the course of time. It doesn't always happen as quickly as one would like, but you also don't want it to happen too quickly either, because the audience needs to have a reason to keep tuning in, especially in a serialized format that we've chosen to go with. You want to keep everybody sort of guessing and keeping everybody enticed and interested in what's going on, so that they'll come back next week and listen to a bit more. So they're not going to get a huge amount of material week to week, but it's a huge amount of material when you add it all up. And, at the end of the season, it's going to be like, wow, that's kind of epic, because it's a lot of material. And I wanted to kind of go on over the course of some time. I didn't want to do 8 or 10 or whatever episodes and just be done with it in a few weeks. I wanted it to be able to stretch across several months so that people have a chance to really get into it, really start to feel like they know these characters and like they're a part of their lives. So that's how you get viewers, or listeners in this case, hooked, is them being a part of their lives week to week. And that's why I've said on my other podcast, DBB, I've kind of mentioned that whole Netflix setup where you get everything in one go. I don't think they're building audiences there. I think I think that format doesn't doesn't work 100%. It works for some things, and I guess it's working for them right now, but in the long run, they're going to have a hard time, in my personal opinion, holding on to people, subscribers, holding their interest on certain series, because it comes out, they put out a season of something every year and a half, something like that, and you get it right away and you consume it within a few days, and then you're waiting for another year and a half. That's not how you build an audience. That's not how you build loyalty. That's not how you get people into a series and get them hooked. So that's just my opinion, and I may be wrong, but I really don't think I am 100% wrong. I mean, again, it may work. It kind of works for some things, but something like what I'm doing here, what we're doing with Magic Monsters and Mayhem, the story that I'm telling and that we're telling through this narrative, it would be, I don't think it would be good to put them all out in one big release and let people just consume it in a week's time and be done with it. It would be, you'd forget it. You'd forget it in a hurry. You'd forget the characters in a hurry. You'd forget what they went through in a hurry. And then having to wait another year or so for the next chapter, the next book, the next series, you would forget a lot of things, and you just wouldn't be as invested. That's my theory. And if you disagree, that's your opinion, and everybody's entitled to it. So I could be wrong, as I said, but I really think for this format, this will work so much better. Getting it in relatively small chunks on a regular basis for the course of the next 5-6 months, I think you're going to really invest in the series more. And yeah, there's a certain element of it's going to be hard for new listeners to jump in the middle of it. They're going to have to start at the beginning and to get everything, to understand everything that's going on. But, that's kind of a reward in this kind of storytelling too, is being there for the whole journey. And the way TV used to be presented, where it was just an adventure every week and nothing was interconnected and there was no continuity really. Just they hit the reset button every week and it's a new adventure, and it doesn't matter whether you remember the last one or not, or even saw the last one or not. I just don't think that's that works on a certain level. It works for certain shows, certain formats. That was great back in the day with Star Trek and what have you. But that today, in today's market and the audiences that we have today that are intelligent and savvy and really invest themselves into characters, that does nothing for your characters. There's very little character development in that format. So in this format, you get all that, and yeah, you have to start from the beginning and listen all the way through to the end, but the reward for that is all that rich character development and story development that you're consuming. And it's going in your head, and you're going to remember that, and you fall in love with these characters in the show, and hopefully the story, and you'll remember that for years. That becomes a part of your weekly life. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with this show. We're not just trying to drop something and flash it, drop it and it's a flash in the pan and it's over. We're trying to build something that we can do for the next few years that you will enjoy as a listener. So hopefully that's the case. So I also want to talk about, we just released over the weekend the second full trailer for Book 2. So that's probably the last trailer you're going to hear for a while. There might be some other smaller trailers along the way to keep people interested and to let people know what's going on in the story, to sort of get people caught up and ready for stuff that's coming. But that's the last. This second one is the last major trailer you're going to get this year. And hopefully it's enough to entice people to come and listen to our show. And that's the point of a trailer, is to to sort of hook people in and go, oh, I want to hear that. I want to check that out. So hopefully our trailers have done their job, and people will be tuning in just a few days when we premiere the first chapter. And the way we're going to release these first few chapters is a little bit different, because on the 18th, I'm going to release chapter 1 from book 2, which will throw you into the story and get you familiar with what's going on, introduce you to, some of the new characters, catch up with some of the older characters, and get this story going. And then about midweek, around Wednesday, something like that, I'm going to release chapter 2. And then either over that following weekend or that Monday, I'm thinking about putting this show out on Mondays. So hopefully that will work for people. We usually release our shows at DRE over the weekend, but it just seems like when I do release things over the weekend, there's not a lot of traffic. So I don't think anybody really listens until, Monday. I mean, at least the bulk of the audience. I don't think they think about it. And maybe it is the commute to work on Monday, or coming back from work on Monday, or after you get home after that first day back at work on Monday, you want to hear, something entertaining, whatever. I'm not sure what the mindset is, but it does seem like we do better with our releases on Mondays. So that's what I'm thinking of doing with Chapter 3, is releasing it on that Monday. And let's see, what is the date on that? I think that's like the 27th or something. But anyway, the first 3 chapters you're going to get in pretty quick succession, so that you can get right into the story. You don't have to wait too long, just a few days in between. So it's just kind of like you get it on the weekend, you get it midweek, and you get it at the beginning of the next week. And after that, we will get into a regular weekly release format. So I just think that will be a good way of introducing this new season, introducing the new storyline, and getting people into it quickly for the first few chapters, and then get them into a regular routine of, oh, here we go, first of the week, here's the new chapter of this story. And hopefully it's a story you guys are really going to enjoy. So that's the plan, and that's just updating you on what's going on and what's going to be going on. It's just, there's so much going on right now behind the scenes. I mean, we're working our tails off just getting the show together. Jeff is stitching all the lines together, getting scenes together for me. I'm mastering lines for stuff for him to work on, and then after he puts it together, I'm putting the effects and the music in. So it's very, very difficult. It's just time consuming, and it's a lot of work. And then, of course, there's planning for book 3, which will follow right along the coattails of book 2. And I've actually gotten four scripts of that written. So we're well underway to getting set for doing book 3. So you won't have a big long delay between, hopefully, book 2 and book 3, and you can just keep right into it and keep going. So I don't know what the delay will be as far as releases between seasons, but it won't be as long as normal. Certainly not as long as book 1 and book 2, which was basically 2 years apart now. So, and I've been releasing the book 1 episodes over on YouTube, which some of you might be listening to me now on YouTube, as well as putting them out on our regular podcast feed. So getting everybody ready for book 2. So anybody who hadn't heard book 1, this has been your chance, and this is still your chance. Again, book 2 will be very different from book 1, so be prepared for that. But you can get to know our main characters like Rosa and Greybeard and Brett Gawain and Waldo Riddendorf. You get to know these guys, Rast, and so on, and get ready for what's coming, which is a big format change into pure drama, action, adventure kind of. There's still going to be a lot of humor in the show, but it's just not going to be played for complete laughs like book 1. And book 1, The humor in book one was kind of, kind of raunchy. There was a little bathroom humor in there and stuff, so you won't hear as much of that really in the new season. Kind of cleaned that up a little bit. Book one was completely PG all the way through, so we played that very differently. But I mean, it was just a different show. It wasn't meant to be what it has become. But I had to rethink in between seasons. Towards the end of book one, as a matter of fact, I started thinking, wouldn't it be interesting to shift gears and do this, just as a regular action adventure series rather than just a comedy show poking fun of the genre, but actually becoming the genre. So that was kind of the thought then. It was a very early thought, for the early time for that thought, but over the course of time, over about a year after book one went out, I really gave it thought and started writing the script, and that's the way it went. So it's very, very different. It's much more serious. There's, again, still humor in it, but the humor is different. The humor is not the same at all. So it's not that goofy, raunchy bathroom humor that you will have gotten used to in the first series. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see for those people who did listen to book one, and then here comes book two. It's going to be interesting to see how people react to that. But I think it's much better. I think it's going to be so much better. So anyway, but we are talking to Brett Gawain himself today, Pete Lutz. So I want to get to that as well. So I'm going to shut up and get on with the interview. So we definitely want to get a chance to talk to Pete Lutz, who was kind enough to record us some answers to some questions recently. So here's a quick clip of Brett Gawain in action, and then here's the interview with Pete Lutz.
I've done my part. Ye lot are well on your way to finding young Lily Fairheart. What more can I do?
Oh, I don't know. You could actually stick around and help us find the girl. I mean, how do we even know these are the Farron Woods? How do we know you've brought us to where you claim we are?
Are ye calling Gramble a liar, mister?
No one is saying that, Gramble. Let's all just calm down a bit.
Actually, I was saying that he may well be a liar and a cheat.
Gawain!
We are interviewing Pete Lutz, who plays Brett Gawain in Magic Monsters and Mayhem. Quite an interesting character and played very well by Pete. Pete, welcome to the show.
Hi, John.
So tell us a little bit about who Brett Gawain is.
Well, Brett is one of those misguided fellows. He thinks he's a hero, or he wants to be a hero, and he's always trying to save the day, but what he really does is either put his foot right into his mouth or step in something really stinky. So he's not quite getting it in the hero department. Plus, he thinks that Rosa is desperately in love with him, but he's the only one who thinks that because Rosa never wants to have anything to do with him. So he is almost a hero, but he's mostly just a stumblebum. That's pretty much how I can describe him.
So what's it been like to play this character for the past couple of years?
It's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad that Brett has had lots of action in this series. It's especially fun to play that kind of character. It's boring to play an actual hero, but it's a lot of fun to play an almost hero. I would hate to be, if we were going to put it in certain terms, he's like Han Solo's half-brother, I guess. Because Han Solo usually got it right, or accidentally got things right, but Brett never gets it right. So he's the one who didn't get enough attention from his parents, so he never really learned how to be a hero. So that's how I've been playing it, and that's how it's been, how I've been putting it into those terms.
Without giving too much away, where is Brett Gawain heading in Book 2?
That's a toughie. That's a real toughie. Something happens to him, and he stops being the comical character, but he never recognized that he was a comical character. So his place in the world, I think, is pretty much the same, but he starts to get a little more respect. And I think he's taking it with a heck of a lot of grace. Where he could have been, oh well, it's about time you respected me, you know. He's now a more serious character, and he's getting a little more respect from the others. I forget exactly what happened. Anyway, you'll just have to listen and find out.
Would he really have eaten Greybeard in the Book 1 episode, The Death of Greybeard?
Absolutely. I mean, wizards are delicious. I mean, you try grilled wizard with a remoulade. Oh, he would have toasted him if he could have. I mean, his little toofy pegs, you know, sprinkled over the wizard steaks, and a little haunch left over in the icebox. Yeah, he would have eaten him, and he would have tried to keep them all for himself. Absolutely.
Pete, you do know that Greybeard is a dwarf, right? Not a wizard?
I'm just an actor.
What are you again?
I'm just an actor. I'm not the writer.
That is obvious. Well, anyway, on to the next question. So what do you think Brett Gawain would like to see for his immediate future? Where do you think he would like to end up in the near future?
Brett would really like to get closer to Rosa. He really would. All of the, near sexual harassment aside, if we put it in, related to modern terms, all of that fumbling and miscommunication aside, he really admires Rosa and would love to be loved by her. And I think he would like to get closer and things to get more intimate between them.
So tell me, where do you think Brett Gawain would like to end up?
At the top of the heap. He wants to be a hero still. And I believe he really, truly wants to be someone who does things and someone who is on the spot. Johnny on the spot, or Brett on the spot, as the case may be. There for people when they need him. He wants to be looked upon as that person. So I don't know if that's where he's going to go, but that's where I think he'd like to end up. Top of the heap in the hero department.
Thanks for joining us, Pete. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks very much. This was fun.
All right. That was our interview with Pete Lutz, who plays Brett Gawain. Next time we will be talking to another of the cast members from Book 1, who will continue on into Book 2. And that will be Victor Aurelius, who plays Rast. So we'll be talking to him next time. And then in the near future, we'll be talking to Jeff Niles, my buddy who is doing the editing work with me, who also plays Waldo Riddendorf. You know him better as Zimtron and Dr. Philbot from Robots of the Company, as well as Derek and a bunch of others. But Jeff is multi-talented and a great guy, and probably the most valuable member of the DRE team, because he does so much behind the scenes as well as in front of the mic. But we will be talking to him in a couple of episodes as well. But next time, yes, we'll be talking to Rast himself, Victor Aurelius, for a fun interview. So be looking forward to that, guys. And we are just, as I said, 6 days from this release of actually having that great launch of Book 2 of Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem. So I'm so looking forward to that. So that'll probably come up first before the next Magical Worlds. But we'll have the next Magical Worlds number 5 hot on the trail of Magic Monsters and Mayhem Book 2, Chapter 1. So shortly thereafter, sometime in between chapters, you'll get to hear another Magical Worlds where we talk to Victor Aurelius, as I said. So, and more about what's going on behind the scenes as well. So, we will talk to you real soon, guys. Thank you for listening. If you are on YouTube, hit that like button. That really helps us out. And subscribe. And you can always hook up with us on Facebook or Twitter or, any number of ways. You can get hooked up on our podcast feed. However you want to consume this show and Magic Monsters and Mayhem and other Dream Realm Enterprises shows. There are so many ways. Go to our website, dreamrealmsite.com. If you want to talk to us directly, you can email us at darkbuilding1@yahoo.com. So until next time, guys, thanks so much, and do stay on the path. Before we close the show, I wanted to make an addition here and let you guys know about something that's going on for Dream Realm Enterprises and Magic Monsters and Mayhem. We are actually offering a t-shirt for Magic Monsters and Mayhem. This is in an effort to just do a bit of fundraising for Dream Realm Enterprises, because it does cost us money to create the content and put it out there, support the website. We have to pay for a server for the website and for our podcast fee and so on. So it's kind of out of pocket for us. We don't make a profit. We're not looking to make a profit, but in order to keep going, we do need a little help. So rather than asking for donations, which I really hate to do, we're actually going to be doing this t-shirt campaign, and at some point even other merchandise. But right now you got a t-shirt that for a limited time only that is available at teespring.com, which is a fundraising website. They help you make merchandise and stuff and handle the selling and so forth for you. So there is a link in the description of this podcast on the website, as well as on the main page of the website. You'll find the link to buy the Magic Monsters and Mayhem limited edition t-shirt, which will only be available for about 3 weeks or less at this point by the time you hear this. So you only have a short time to buy the t-shirt, and the profits go to supporting our shows, and that's it. It's not to it's not to line our pockets or anything like that. It's just simply to help us pay the rent, as it were, on our website and so forth. So help us out, won't you, and buy a t-shirt. It's cool merchandise that you'll get to wear around and support the show and say, hey, this is a great show. People will see what you're wearing and go, what is Magic Monsters and Mayhem? And you can tell them exactly what it is and where they can find it at dreamrealmsite.com. So tell your friends, tell everybody, buy somebody a t-shirt for Christmas. Well, whatever, but support the show, Magic Monsters and Mayhem, by buying a t-shirt if you'd like one. I think they're kind of cool. I designed it myself. You can have a look at that if you follow the link on the website. So thanks, guys. I just want to let you know about that. A very limited edition offer to help us keep our content going. Thanks a lot, guys.
This program is copyright 2018, all rights reserved, and is brought to you by Dream Realm Enterprises. The journey continues.